there is enough and more happening globally on blockchain. We've got trade consortiums, we've got shipping consortiums, we've got supply chain consortiums, and a whole lot of activity that's happening globally. To that extent, we are clearly convinced that this is a technology which holds promise, which has commitment from the ecosystem as a whole, and therefore it is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. Now, on to our efforts, we obviously started off blockchain with a small scale POC, which we then took up into a use case within the bank for vendor finance. It is scaled up, it is now in use. We have a program already there. There are clients who are signing up. There is a pipeline for them. But we also realize that if we stay within a CUG, within the bank, with the counterparties getting comfort with the fact that the data is stored on a verified blockchain, it really doesn't scale to the extent we want it to, and therefore this consortium. So this consortium is just in a proposition stage. We therefore call it a consortium. It's basically 10 to 12 banks coming together and figuring out how we can scale up blockchain, how we can take use cases and create a public store of trust, which can then be referenced by parties who come onto the ecosystem and therefore are in a position to validate and get the comfort before executing the transaction. So first up, there is obviously trade finance, which is a proper candidate for blockchain, and there are enough and more examples worldwide which are working. So you've got TradeIX, you've got Marco Polo, you've got V.Trade, a whole lot of initiatives that are running. So there is enough and more examples to prove that taking it to a network scale will really help the cause and will really make blockchain big in country. So right now, as I said, we started with supply chain. We are looking for trade finance. Trade finance is the next area. A lot of products within trade finance, LC issuance, bills, guarantees, all of those modules will get commercialized on the blockchain platform. We are also looking at use cases even in the cash management / logistics space. That's also one use case that we are looking at. Remittances is one area. So there's a clear difference between a blockchain, a public blockchain, and a distributed ledger. We use either of both to do the public validation or a permissioned validation. And so right now the spectrum is supply chain, trade, and we're also going into cash management and remittances. Yeah, so as I'm saying, there is obviously change always has got a lot of resistance to change from parties, especially as institutions of trust. We obviously would want the regulatory blessings to move forward, and to that extent, the regulator is kept engaged. We are conducting ourselves in the most transparent manner possible. Having said that, yes, there are challenges in the current structure. One is that there is a need for regulation, there's a need for a global standard, forget a local standard, because today you have got 3 or 4 main blockchain platforms, and those 4 of them don't exactly talk to each other in an interoperable manner. So there is an interoperability that is being enforced by bodies like the Universal Trade Network, which are forcing the blockchain platforms to speak to each other. That's one part of the regulatory push globally. Locally as well, for them to speak, we need a standard format in which communication happens. To that extent, what we are trying to build will cater to at least corporate to the blockchain platform connectivity will be sort of standardized. But yes, there is a clear need for proper regulation come legislation around this, and I'm pretty sure the regulator as well as the IDRBT are heavily into research on this platform, and we should be seeing something very, very concrete